Hello scholars, welcome to Dakshina classroom. As you know, we are talking about magnetism and matter, that is the magnetic properties of certain elements. Now under this, until now, we have already talked about what causes magnetism in matter. We have also talked about how there is a certain atomic dipole moment of magnets. We have talked about magnetic intensity vector. We have talked about magnetization vector, that how if you place certain elements in external magnetic field, they get magnetized. We have also talked about that there are mainly three kinds of elements. Elements can be categorized under three categories as far as their magnetic properties are concerned. Under that, we talked about that there is paramagnetism, there are ferromagnetism, and there is dimagnetism. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about certain other parameters under which we can judge the magnetic properties of elements. So let us talk about what are the subtopics that we are going to cover in today's lecture. The first topic that we will talk about is magnetic susceptibility. Now pronunciation may be different. Susceptibility. Second topic we will talk about is permeability. If you remember, we have talked about permeability of free space. Under this topic we will talk about permeability of any material, permeability of matter you can say. And the third topic that we will discuss will be Curie's law. Now remember, since we are talking about magnetic properties of matter, all these topics we are talking about because they help us understand the magnetic properties of elements around us. So pause the video, note it down, then we will move further. So now let us talk about what is your magnetic susceptibility. Now we have already discussed that under certain elements, the atoms of the elements already have atomic dipole moments. But under normal conditions, the direction of those dipole moments is so random because of the random motion of your atoms that there is no net magnetic moment. But we have seen under magnetization vector that if I apply an external field here, if I apply B external here, then these dipole, they align themselves in the direction of external field. Now, higher the external field, higher will be degree of alignment. Meaning, if I apply a little bit of external field, then they will align a little bit. If I apply a large magnetic field, external magnetic field, then the alignment will be more in the direction. Meaning, if I want to know the degree of alignment, how much alignment is there, then B external, higher the B external, higher will be the alignment of these dipoles inside your element. So we can say that, first point here we can say that alignment of dipole is directly proportional to external field, that we can say. So here we can say alignment of atomic dipoles, because these atomic dipoles initially they were not aligned, because of the B external they are aligned, and the higher the B external, higher will be the degree of alignment. So alignment of atomic dipoles is proportional to external field, like this. Now, if you remember, how do we judge the alignment? How do we judge the degree of alignment? It is getting magnetized. So for judging that what is the degree of magnetization, we defined magnetization vector. So what was magnetization vector? I. So higher the magnetization vector, higher is the degree of your alignment. Magnetization vector was nothing but your magnetic moment vector divided by volume. So higher the magnetization vector, higher is the alignment, same thing. Now this is proportional to what? B external. So can I write magnetization vector is proportional to B external divided by mu naught? And what is B external divided by mu naught? That is nothing but your magnetic intensity vector, H vector, that we have already discussed in the previous class. So here you can write that as the second point. Now this proportionality, if I want to remove this proportionality, now remember this magnetic intensity vector is defined for external field that is causing the magnetization. So here, if I want to remove the proportionality sign, then here I can write third point, removing the proportionality, I. Now remember, I is the what? Why I is defined? I is your magnetization vector. So I is the indicator of degree of alignment, how well those are aligned. So when I define I, actually I am defining the alignment of the atomic dipole moments. So I equals to, I want to remove the proportionality sign. What I will say? I equals to some new constant times H. Now this new constant is called susceptibility of material. So define that as susceptibility. Now how it is linked to the magnetization? Now see here, H is defined for B external. Now higher is the value of H, meaning higher is the value of B external. Now higher the B external, more will be magnetization of your matter, meaning if I increase B external, more will be your magnetization. Now susceptibility plays what role? See here, if the susceptibility is low, for example, let us say I take two elements. Let us say I draw the two elements here. Let us say just draw one more here. Now here I have two elements. In both the elements, initially atomic dipole moments are in the random direction, net moment is 0. Now what I did is I applied a B external in this area. Now in these two, let us say here susceptibility is 1, here it is 2, like this. Now B external is same for both. So this H is defined on B external. So H will be same for both materials. Now depending upon X or Xi, sometimes it is called, it is written like X, no matter, you can susceptibility, you can remember how, what actually it is, that you can forget that. So now, so here first susceptibility, second susceptibility, pronunciation is a little bit difficult, no problem. So first is, let us say that first is greater than second. So let us write like this here. Now if the first is susceptibility is greater than second, then what I can say is here magnetization of first will be greater than magnetization of second, meaning the alignment of atomic dipoles, at what degree they will align, how better they will align, that will be greater in first and less in second. For the same magnetic field, atomic dipole moments of first will be more aligned towards the B external, and atomic dipole moment of second will be less aligned towards the external magnetic field. That way susceptibility is useful. Now in case of, we have already studied, there are three kinds of material: paramagnetic, ferromagnetic and diamagnetic. So for paramagnetic material and ferromagnetic. For paramagnetic and ferromagnetic, it is positive. Susceptibility of paramagnetic and ferromagnetic is positive. And for diamagnetic materials, susceptibility is negative, like this. So we will see a little bit further what is permeability and what is Curie's law. Then a little bit more will be cleared what actually is susceptibility of material. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss further. Now that we are discussing susceptibility as an indicator that how well a material will be magnetized if placed inside that external magnetic field. So what if there is no material? For example, there is some field in vacuum and I want to know what is susceptibility. What is susceptibility of vacuum? Now see here, let us write that fourth point. Now remember, susceptibility is defined as an indicator of magnetization, that how well a material will be magnetized when placed in an external magnetic field. Now in space there is no material, and if there is no material there will be no magnetization, and if there is no magnetization I can say that magnetization vector will be 0. So for space you can say, for space or for vacuum you can say more precisely, for vacuum your I vector will be 0. And since I vector is 0 and if there is field, if there is an external field, then H vector is not 0. Let us say that H vector is not 0. Matlab there is a field. So if I vector is 0, H vector is not 0. So what do you write? You write that I equals to susceptibility times H vector. And if I is 0 and H is not 0, then you can say for space, susceptibility of space is 0. For vacuum, susceptibility is 0. Meaning you cannot magnetize vacuum because susceptibility as an indicator of magnetization. And if there is no material, then what you are going to magnetize? You cannot magnetize vacuum, space. So that is why susceptibility for vacuum will be 0. Now let us write next point, one very easy concept. Now magnetization vector I. Magnetization vector, if you remember, what was your unit of magnetization vector? Unit of magnetization vector is your ampere per meter, and unit for H is the magnetic intensity vector. Unit for H was also ampere per meter. So since unit of I and H are same, dimensions of I and H are same. So what you can say? Since dimension of I vector and H vector are same. So if the dimensions of I vector and H vector are same, which is what? Which is ampere per meter. That is the dimension of both I and H. They are not same thing. Magnetization vector and magnetic intensity vector are not same thing. They are different thing. But as you have studied earlier, that it is possible that two different physical properties have same dimension. That is possible. So here unit is same. So since dimensions of I and H vector are same, what should be the dimension of susceptibility? Dimension of susceptibility should be 0. There should be no dimension. It is a dimensionless constant. So you can say, so susceptibility is a dimensionless. Now remember, it is not necessary that all the constants are dimensionless. So susceptibility is a dimensionless constant. Sometimes they may ask that what is the dimension of this, you can just simply say that it is a dimensionless constant. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss the next point, that is the permeability of a matter. Now let us discuss what is permeability of any material. Now we have already discussed that when a paramagnetic or ferromagnetic material is placed inside an external magnetic field, then that material gets magnetized. And we can write the intensity of magnetic field as what? We can write the intensity, if you remember, we can write the equation as B external divided by mu naught equals B your total, or you can write B net divided by mu naught minus of I vector. That's how we can write. And B external by mu naught, this was defined as how? This was defined as your magnetic intensity vector. Now if you remember here, if I can write it like this, B net divided by mu naught, that can be written as H vector plus I vector, like this. And we have just studied that magnetic susceptibility. What is susceptibility? Susceptibility as an indicator of your magnetization, relation between magnetization and magnetic intensity vector. So this can also be written as B net divided by mu naught, which is equal to magnetic intensity vector plus magnetization vector may be written as susceptibility of the material times your magnetic intensity vector, that we have just studied in the previous topic. Now this can be written as like this also, B net divided by mu naught is equal to H vector, you take common, 1 plus susceptibility of the material, like this. Now if I take this mu naught to this side, then this will become how? This will become B net. Now remember why we are writing B net field? Because when you place a material in an external field is already there, but due to magnetization of the material, some field it produced by the matter also, and total field is external field plus field produced by your material due to magnetization. That is why we are writing B net. So B net may be written as mu naught times 1 plus susceptibility of that material times magnetic intensity vector, like this. So here you can write B net equals to mu times 1 plus, not 1 plus, mu times H vector. Here mu is nothing but mu naught times 1 plus susceptibility of material, which is called permeability of material, like this. So here mu is the permeability of that material which you are putting in external magnetic field. Here mu naught is the permeability of vacuum. So in vacuum, susceptibility will be 0. If the susceptibility is 0, then mu naught equals mu. So for vacuum, permeability is permeability of vacuum, which is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. And for any other material, if you want to know what is permeability, then that will be mu equals mu naught times 1 plus susceptibility of that material, like this. So you can remember this formula. Now one more is defined, that is relative permeability. For example, you define relative density like that, is specific gravity. So relative permeability is, for example, if permeability of a material is mu, then can I write this as like this? Let us write here. I can also write this as mu divided by mu naught equals 1 plus susceptibility of that material, like this. So this mu by mu naught is written as relative permeability of that material, which is equal to 1 plus susceptibility of that material. So this also you can remember. There are a lot of formulas in this chapter, no problem. You just have to understand the concept, and few formulas are there which you can remember. If you understand the concept, then remembering the formula becomes easy. So relative permeability is nothing but permeability of material divided by permeability of vacuum, or 1 plus susceptibility of material, like this. So you can say mu r is relative permeability of material. That is your relative permeability. Pause the video, note it down, then we will solve a question and we will try to understand through that question that what actually is the role of our relative permeability. Pause the video, note it down. Now let us try to understand the role of relative permeability through a question. Now the question is, find the factor by which field inside a solenoid increases when an iron rod is placed inside the solenoid. Now it is not a numerical question, we are just trying to discuss the role of relative permeability. Now we can say that for a solenoid, what is field for a solenoid? Field for a solenoid is nothing but mu naught times N times I. When there is no material inside the solenoid, I will take mu naught. Now, if that is field, magnetic intensity vector may be defined as B divided by mu naught, which is equal to N times I. So magnetic intensity vector is defined as N times I, which is B by mu naught, or you can say that just the magnitude, like this. Now, so since magnetic intensity vector is defined for field of solenoid, does not matter whether you insert a rod or not, in both the cases magnetic intensity vector will remain same. The magnitude of magnetic intensity vector will remain same, it will not change. Now here, when you place a rod inside the solenoid, then what happens? Then you say that, sir, there is a net field. So B net magnetic field magnitude may be written as mu naught times 1 plus susceptibility of the material of the rod. For iron it will be different, for copper it will be different, for other materials it will be different. So susceptibility of the material times your intensity vector, like this. And this can also be written as B net equals to mu naught into 1 plus susceptibility of material is nothing but relative permeability of the material. That is your times H, like this. Now, so B net is written as mu relative permeability times magnetic intensity vector. Now, and what was the initial magnetic field? Initially field was like this, B was equals to mu times Ni, and Ni is defined as H vector, like this. So if I want to know the factor by which it is increased, now remember this is the field before inserting any rod, and this is the field, sorry, it was mu naught. This is the field before inserting the rod. If before inserting the rod there is nothing, we are assuming that there is not even air. So mu naught, and after inserting the rod this. So if I want to know the ratio, that before field and after field, so we can write like this, B net divided by B. because this is the initial field before inserting the rod and this is the total field after inserting the rod. And why total field? Because when you insert the rod will get magnetized, and because of the magnetization of the rod will produce its own field, and the total field inside the solenoid will be field due to current in the solenoid plus field of the rod itself. That is why B total. So B net divided by B will be equal to what? Mu R times H vector divided by mu naught times H vector, like this. That is your like this. Now what I can say here, see, this is not mu R, sorry about that. This is mu naught plus 1 plus H, that is your permeability, not relative permeability. Relative permeability is permeability divided by mu naught. Sorry about that mistake. So here it is your permeability and that. Now this H will be cancelled out and this will become mu divided by mu naught, like this. And what is mu by mu naught? Permeability of material, which is mu, divided by permeability of your space, that is your relative permeability, mu R, like this. Now, so you see here I can write B final. Final means after inserting the rod, divided by B initial, meaning before inserting the rod, which is equal to what? Which is equal to relative permeability of that material of which your rod is made up of. Meaning what they are asking, find the factor by which field inside a solenoid increases when iron rod is placed inside it. So you can say B final is nothing but mu R times B initial. Meaning if you insert a rod, for example, let us say permeability of a material is 5, relative permeability. So if the relative permeability of the material, let us say 5, then if I insert that a rod of that material inside a solenoid, then field inside the solenoid will become 5 times original value. So that way you can define the use of permeability. So relative permeability tells you that how much magnetic field will become, by what factor, if you place that material in an external magnetic field. Now, here there are very few interesting points. Now, if you remember mu R, if you remember mu was what? Mu was your permeability of the material, and permeability is your what? Permeability of vacuum 1 plus susceptibility of material, and mu by mu naught is equal to mu R, which is equal to 1 plus susceptibility of material, like this. Now let us define very few interesting properties based on your susceptibility. Now we have already discussed that for paramagnetic and for ferromagnetic, your susceptibility is positive. So if for paramagnetic, let us say for paramagnetic materials, we can write susceptibility greater than 0. And if the susceptibility is greater than 0, 1 plus susceptibility, mu relative permeability, that will be greater than 1. So mu R is greater than 1. So if the susceptibility is greater than 0, relative permeability is greater than 1. And if the relative permeability is greater than 1, then from here final field will be greater than initial field. Meaning if you place a paramagnetic material inside the solenoid, then field inside the solenoid will be increased. So you can say when a paramagnetic material is placed in an external field, then net field is increased. So you can write that here. If a paramagnetic if a paramagnetic material is placed in an external field, then net field increases. Why it is increases? Because for paramagnetic, susceptibility is greater than 0. If the susceptibility is greater than 0, then relative permeability is greater than 0, and final field is relative permeability times initial field. What is initial field? Field without that material. What is final field? Field with that material. So if you place a paramagnetic material inside the solenoid, then total field inside the solenoid will increase. Now remember, I am telling you again and again that total field will increase. Most of the time students get confused. Total field is increasing. Field due to solenoid is still the same. Total field is field due to solenoid plus field of the material itself, because material is getting magnetized, and if it gets magnetized, it produces its own magnetic field. That is why total field increases. Don't get confused between total field and field due to solenoid. Field due to solenoid remains same whether you insert a material or not. It does not change. It is remaining same, mu naught Ni. But your total field increases if you place a paramagnetic material. Now if for paramagnetic total field increases, then what about diamagnetic? So if you remember the properties of diamagnetic material that we have discussed, for diamagnetic susceptibility is less than 0. For diamagnetic materials. So for diamagnetic, if susceptibility is less than 0, so if susceptibility is less than 0, then this value, susceptibility is negative, then relative permeability will be less than 1. Relative permeability is less than 1. And if relative permeability here is less than 1, then final field will be less than initial field. Because B final divided by B initial is less than 1. Meaning denominator is greater, numerator is less. So in case of diamagnetic material, your field, net field decreases. So here you can say B net decreases. So when you place a diamagnetic material inside a solenoid, then your net field decreases. So putting a paramagnetic or ferromagnetic material will increase the net field, and putting a diamagnetic material will decrease the net field. Pause the video, note it down, because this is a very important concept, that when magnetic field will increase, when magnetic field will decrease. So whenever you put paramagnetic, ferromagnetic, it will increase. If you put a diamagnetic, field will decrease. Why? Because for paramagnetic, susceptibility is greater than 0. For diamagnetic, susceptibility is less than 0. Pause the video and note it down. Now let us solve one more question before we move forward. Now the question is, find the percentage increase in the magnetic field when space in a toroid. Now we have already studied what is a toroid. Space in a toroid is filled with aluminum with susceptibility of 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 5. Susceptibility is a dimensionless constant. Now you can pause the video and try to solve it yourself first. Now we have just seen that relative permeability. Now relative permeability of the material may be written as 1 plus susceptibility of the material. We have already seen this. And we have also discussed that if I place a material in an external field, then external field becomes final field is equal to relative permeability times initial field, like this, that we have already discussed. And relative permeability is what? Your 1 plus x. Now if that is true, if final field is 1 plus x times your initial field. Now what I can say, if I want to know the change, if I want to know what is the change, then what I can say, delta field is nothing but B final minus B initial, like this. And what is final? B final is mu r times B initial. And what is mu r? 1 plus relative susceptibility. So this will come out to be your 1 plus susceptibility. You take B common. See here, this is B final. B final is mu r is 1 plus susceptibility. So B initial minus B initial. Take B initial common, which is B initial times 1 plus x minus 1, 1 will cancel out, susceptibility, like this. So change in magnetic field will be this much. Now, what is the percentage change? Percentage change will be delta B divided by B initial, which is equal to how much? Delta B divided by B initial will be equal to susceptibility of your material. And if you want to know the percentage change, that will be nothing but susceptibility times 100 multiplied by 100, ratio multiplied by 100. So that is nothing but susceptibility is given as 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 5. So that will be 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 3%. So if you insert aluminum material inside a toroid, then total magnetic field inside the toroid increases by a percentage of 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 3. Now that is not very large, that is very small change. So that is why, because it is a paramagnetic material. For ferromagnetic materials, susceptibility is very high, very high. And when you insert a ferromagnetic material, field increases a lot more than this. We will solve a question based on that also. Pause the video, note it down, then we will move forward. Now let us discuss what is your Curie's law. Now if you remember, we have discussed that in case of a paramagnetic or ferromagnetic materials, the atoms have their own magnetic dipole moment, but there is no overall dipole moment of your sample. Why is that? Because the atoms are doing random motion, and because of the random motion of the atomic dipoles, net dipole moment of your sample is 0. Now, so let us write that first. Due to random motion of atomic dipoles, net dipole moment of the sample is 0. Now what I can do to remove this random motion? What I can do is I can apply the external magnetic field, and due to the external magnetic field, the dipoles will try to align themselves in the direction of external field. Now if I raise the temperature, then what happens? See here, the higher will be random motion, more difficult it will be to magnetize that material. So you can say that here, upon raising the temperature, random motion increases, because higher the temperature, more is the energy of atoms or molecules and more is the random motion. So upon raising the temperature, random motion increases. Now what is the effect of increasing random motion? The higher will be the degree of random motion, more difficult it will be to magnetize that material. If the random motion is small, very small, then it will be easier to magnetize. If random motion is very high, then it will be difficult to magnetize. So here I can write, higher the random motion, more difficult it is to magnetize. So higher random motion means material will be more difficult to magnetize. More difficult to magnetize. Now, if you remember, we have defined a concept of susceptibility. Now, what was susceptibility? Susceptibility was an indicator that how easy it is to magnetize a material. So here, higher the random motion, more difficult it is magnetize. So susceptibility, higher susceptibility, meaning it will be easier to magnetize. Lower susceptibility, meaning it will be difficult to magnetize. And I am saying that it will be difficult to magnetize, meaning susceptibility decreases. So if I want to write a relation between susceptibility and temperature, then what I can say, upon increasing temperature, magnetization property is decreasing, meaning susceptibility is decreasing. So here I can write that susceptibility of the material will be proportional to 1 by T, where T is the temperature in absolute scale, in Kelvin. So here from, if you remove the proportionality sign, then you can write susceptibility of the material equals to constant divided by T. T is the temperature in absolute scale. So here this is the relation. Susceptibility of a material depends upon temperature. For example, if you want to magnetize iron, then magnetization of the iron will depend upon the temperature. Higher the temperature, difficult it will be to magnetize. Lower the temperature, easier it will be to magnetize. Here C is known as Curie constant. C is your Curie constant. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss further. Now let us discuss that what happens if I heat a permanent magnet. For example, let us say that we have a bar magnet, and if I start heating that bar magnet, then what will happen? Now upon heating a magnet, what will happen? The random motion of the molecules will increase. So here you can say, upon heating a magnet, we already have a permanent magnet. So if I heat a permanent magnet, what will happen? Random motion of its molecules will increase. So if I have a permanent magnet and if I start heating that magnet, then random motion of its molecule will increase. And we have just seen that more the random motion, more is difficult to magnetize that material. Meaning the more the random motion, less will be its magnetic properties. So if I keep on increasing the temperature, magnetic property or magnetization vector of that magnet will start decreasing. Now, if the magnetization vector starts decreasing, why magnetization vector start decreasing? Because we have seen that I is proportional to, or you can say I equals to magnetic intensity vector times susceptibility of your material. Now, so if this is the case and upon increasing the temperature, susceptibility decreases, then your magnetization decreases. So upon increasing the temperature, you can say, if you increase the temperature, heating the magnet, random motion of the molecules increases, and due to that, your magnet starts losing its magnetic property. So, upon raising temperature, magnet starts losing its magnetic property. Now what if I keep on increasing the temperature? Then there will come a temperature, then this magnet will completely lose its magnetic property. So magnet will stop behaving like a magnet. Magnetic property will be gone. There will be entire random motion. No magnetization. Your magnetization will become zero. So at a certain temperature, magnet loses its magnetic property entirely. It is slowly losing already, but at a certain high temperature, entire magnetic property will be lost. Now the magnet will not behave like a magnet. For example, if you take a bar magnet and if you start heating it, slowly magnetic property will start decreasing. And upon a certain temperature, entire magnetic property of the bar magnet will be lost. So you can say that here, at certain temperature, magnetic property will be completely lost. And that certain temperature at which magnetic property of the material is completely lost, that temperature is known as Curie temperature or Curie point. So here you can say that temperature is called Curie point or Curie temperature. Both are correct. In different books, different may be written. Both are true. So what will happen? You start increasing temperature, random motion increases. Due to random motion, magnet starts losing its magnetic property, and upon a certain temperature, random motion is so much that it completely loses its magnetic property, and that temperature is known as Curie point or Curie temperature. Pause the video, note it down, then we will solve a question based on this. Now let us solve a very easy question based on the dependence of susceptibility upon the temperature. Now, what is the question? Susceptibility of magnesium at 300 Kelvin is 1.2 into 10 to the power minus 5. At what temperature it will increase to 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 5? This is a very easy question, formula based. You can solve it yourself. Pause the video and try to solve it yourself first. Now let us solve it. Now we have already seen that susceptibility of a material is equal to Curie constant divided by temperature in Kelvin. Now susceptibility is given at two temperatures, and since Curie constant will remain constant, we can write that like this: susceptibility 1 divided by susceptibility 2 equals temperature 2 divided by temperature 1. Here first susceptibility is given, second susceptibility is given, and first temperature is given. So temperature 2 equals temperature 1 times susceptibility 1 divided by susceptibility 2, like this. So what is the first temperature? 300. So 300 multiplied by 1.2 into 10 to the power minus 5 divided by 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 5. 10 to the power minus 5 will cancel. 1.2 divided by 1.8, like this. This will be 2 by 3. 2 by 3 multiplied by 300, that will be 200 Kelvin. Very easy question. That susceptibility of a material is the property of temperature or dependent upon temperature. So you have two iron nails, both are same material, but one iron nail is at different temperature than the other. So upon applying the same field, magnetization will be different in different iron nails. Now let us solve a question based on susceptibility and relative permeability. This is a very easy question. The question is, inside a material, B is 1.6 Tesla. Now when we are saying inside a material magnetic field, we are talking about total magnetic field. So total magnetic field is 1.6 Tesla and magnetic intensity is 1000 ampere per meter. Calculate relative permeability and not of and susceptibility of material. So what is happening that there is a material and there is an external magnetic field and there is a total magnetic field inside the material. So total magnetic field is this and magnetic intensity B external divided by mu naught, that is given as H, that is this much, and we have to find relative permeability and susceptibility of your material. Now we have already discussed that in case like this, when a material is placed in an external magnetic field, then what we can say that? We can say that B net is equal to mu naught times 1 plus susceptibility of your material times your what? Times magnetic intensity vector. That we have already discussed. Now, we can also say this as this. B net equals, this can be written as permeability of the material times H vector. And if this is permeability, mu equals mu naught times 1 plus susceptibility of material, then mu by mu naught, permeability of the material divided by permeability of free space or vacuum, that will be equal to 1 plus susceptibility of the material, that is equal to relative permeability of material. Now here, see, B net 1.6 Tesla given, H vector 1000 ampere per meter magnitude is given. So from there I can calculate permeability of material. Now what will be the permeability of material? 1.6 Tesla equals to permeability of materials times 1000 ampere per meter. So mu comes out to be 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 3, like this. Now if mu is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 3, then what is mu? Mu divided by mu naught can be written as mu r. So from here I can say relative permeability will be mu divided by mu naught, which will be equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 3 divided by, what is mu naught? Mu naught is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. So 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. And 4 pi is around 12.5. So 1.6 divided by 12.5 and this will be 10 to the power 4. So mu r will be approximately 1.3 into 10 to the power 3, like this. So relative permeability mu r may be written as 1.3 into 10 to the power 3. Now if such a material, now remember what we have studied. We have studied that if you place a material inside a magnetic field, then total magnetic field increases by a factor of mu r, relative permeability. Meaning if I place this material, whichever material they are talking about, if I place this material inside a solenoid, then field inside the solenoid will become 1.3 into 10 to the power 3 times initial value without the material, like this. That is the concept of your relative permeability. Now what about susceptibility? How do we calculate susceptibility? Now here mu r is nothing but 1 plus susceptibility. So here you can say 1.3 into 10 to the power 3 equals 1 plus susceptibility of the material, and susceptibility of the material is 1.3 into 10 to the power 3 minus 1. So 1.3 into 10 to the power 3 is how much? 1300. 1300 minus 1. So 1300 minus 1 is how much? 1299, which is approximately equal to 1.3 into 10 to the power 3. So that is the susceptibility of your material. That is a very high value. So this material must be what? If you want to choose, for example, in the exam, if they ask that susceptibility of the material is this much, very high value, and they are asking which category that material will lie in, whether paramagnetic or diamagnetic or ferromagnetic. It cannot be diamagnetic, because for diamagnetic susceptibility is negative. For paramagnetic and ferromagnetic it is positive. But for paramagnetic susceptibility is not very high value. So this value is very high. So if the susceptibility is very high, you can say that that material must be ferromagnetic. That material must be ferromagnetic. Now that way you can judge. If they ask in the exam, this way you can tell whether that material will be paramagnetic or ferromagnetic. Pause the video, note it down. So this was your lecture number 15 for magnetic field and magnetism. In this lecture we have talked about susceptibility of a material. Now susceptibility of a material is an indicator of that how easy or difficult it is to magnetize that material. We have also talked about permeability of a material. Now relative permeability of a material is an indicator of that by what factor magnetic field will increase upon placing that material inside a solenoid or toroid or any external field. Now we have also talked about Curie temperature. Now what was Curie temperature? If you raise the temperature of a magnet so high that it loses all of its magnetic property, then that high temperature at which it loses all of its magnetic property, that temperature is called as Curie point or Curie temperature. We have also talked about Curie's law. What was Curie's law? Curie's law tells us that susceptibility of a material, that is magnetization tendency of a material, is dependent upon temperature. As you raise the temperature, susceptibility of a material decreases. Now magnetism and matter is mostly theoretical topic. There are a lot of theoretical concepts. I hope that you have understood these concepts well. Now if you have not understood anything, you can go back and pause the video again. Now still if you do not understand anything, you can just drop me a message in your doubt group.